Okay, here's another mine portal. Let's go check it out. Check this out right here. See that void in the arch, above the arch? It's kind of unsupported there. And this rock is that real crumbly stuff that I was telling you about that's very characteristic of this, of the mines in this area. See what I'm talking about? So, yeah, that's a little sketchy, but let's get in here. A little bit of an erosion pile here. Again, it's mostly all of this soft rock that's come off, and it's almost like sand in a way. But let me tell you what's so special about this mine. Oh, there's cold air coming out of here too. If you remember last fall, Paul and I attempted to dig out an abandoned mine that's just located on the other side of this hill from this mine. In fact, the two mines are separated by about 1,100 feet as the crow flies. And the difference in elevation between their portals is about 76 feet. I believe this is the higher one. So Paul and I were unsuccessful in digging through that backfill. It turned out to be more substantial than we thought. And so I'm hoping maybe because this mine is so close to that one and at the same elevation basically and only 1,000 feet away, that there might be a connecting point in here. So it looks like the tunnel goes up there, and so let's go check it out. Those roots coming through the rock right there kind of startled me when I looked over that way. I thought it was a huge spider. But anyway, here's looking down the tunnel. Yeah, it goes straight actually. There's a little bit of a either a collapse or backfill right there, but we can get over that. And I do feel airflow. So here's looking around at all this, all these rocks. And let me zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about, how fractured they are. See that, where my light is, and right there. So probably not the most stable mine to be in, but that's what they dug this one through. Okay, here's that little collapse or backfilled area right here in front of me, and the tunnel continues there. You can see. Yeah, this oh, something off to the left here. Yeah, something off to the left there, but that looks like it's been backfilled or it's just a dead end. But definitely nowhere to go. That might have been a tunnel there, who knows. But we'll keep going straight. Looks like the tunnel curves off to the right. Okay, this rock is more of a light gray color. Got some timber remnants here on the floor. It's just a little dead end alcove. Interesting. And it's kind of curving to the right here. More timbers. Okay, here's something going down. And the main tunnel continues that way, it looks like. Let's take the main tunnel, and then we'll come back and maybe check out those downward sloping passageways. Okay, here is a retaining wall from a stope. And it goes way up there. Don't know if that went any further. It might have, but those are big boulders. And they came crashing down here and were stopped by this wall, I guess. So there may be upper levels to this mine. Oh, here's some graffiti. New repairing. They must have had to repair this. Oh yeah, I see. See the boards behind? And then they put some boards in front to give it more strength. It looks like that's the new repairing that they're talking about. Wow. Oh, here's another passageway going up. But that looks like it stops right up in there. Huh. Wow. That goes up there kind of far. But it looks backfilled. Let me see if I can zoom in on that so you can see that. See that right there where my light is? Looks like that went further at one time, but it's backfilled. Oh, wow. It went down too. Look at that. Oh, here's a good example of gobbing, where they stacked the rocks instead of taking them outside. There's gobbing all along there. Look at that. And that's an inclined shaft. Looks like it might just stop down there. Hey, we'll check that out on the way back. Let's keep going down the main tunnel. So here's an inclined tunnel with some kind of door. Let's see if we can get this open. Well, this door is not going to move. It's kind of buried in the dirt here, but that goes down there, that tunnel. And don't know if it goes to the left or not. It might. I mean to the right. It might go to the right. It's hard to tell from here. Maybe I'll try to squeeze through there on the way back out. I can probably get through there, but yeah, it's interesting. They put a door on this one for some reason. That makes me think maybe this was a connecting point to the mine that Paul and I were trying to dig out. I don't know. Got an ore cart track here, one of them. Huh. Goes up to an upper area. Okay, continuing down the main haulage tunnel. Boy, you can really see the layers there where my light is. The bands, kind of on a slant. That's just a dead end down there. And that's a dead end up there. Okay, the main haulage tunnel is blocked. I peeked over that rubble pile, and further on, it's totally filled up. It's backfilled. So they must have stopped using that part of the mine and started using it to put the waste rock in. But I found myself here at the bottom of an inclined shaft that goes up, and I can see some daylight up there. I don't know if it's coming out in the camera, but it looks like it gets pretty vertical up there. So I'm going to go up here real quick and see if there's any drift levels. There must be, because we passed all those inclined passageways coming down from above as we came down the main haulage tunnel back there. So, but it looks like it goes to the surface, which is interesting. Well, there's the inclined shaft up there. It gets a little steeper as it goes up to the surface, and it's filled with loose dirt. Um, but I noticed here, I mentioned this earlier, maybe in another video, but it looks like the rock, the crumbly stuff is that stuff right there. Then the not so crumbly stuff is that tan colored. See how it alternates? Back there's the crumbly stuff. There's a layer of the tan stuff, crumbly stuff, tan stuff. And look how the crumbly stuff has scratch marks on it. I wonder if that's from them digging this by hand, or if that's from the miners using a scaling bar to test the integrity of that crumbly stuff. Because I don't see any scratch marks on the tan rock, but I have a feeling this was probably dug by hand. I haven't seen any blasting holes like we normally find in abandoned mines. So I'm going to try to get up there a little bit more just to see if I can see out. So let me get up there. It looks like there's been some water coming down here recently, that dark streak right there. So, okay, that's looking up the incline shaft to the surface. Looks like there's a wooden collar up there around the opening. I'm really having a hard time getting up this rubble. This dirt is really loose. That's why I don't like coming down these kinds of inclines when it's this loose dirt, because it's very hard to get back up out. I'm even sliding down right now as I'm filming this because this dirt is just so loose. So, but I don't see any drift levels going off. So that's interesting because there are upper areas from the main haulage tunnel, but there's no access to them from this main incline shaft, or what looks like a main incline shaft. I will say there's a bat in here. He flew over my head back into the mine behind me. And right behind me in the rubble are some animal droppings, probably from a fox or something like that. So something's coming in here and coming down this incline shaft about halfway to relieve itself, which is kind of interesting because kind of a strange place to do that. But yeah, you can see how this dirt is just, this is really hell trying to climb up. And that's looking down the incline shaft. So I'm going to go back down there to the main haulage tunnel and turn left and check out some of those incline passageways that are going down off to the right as we head back through there. Okay, just came back down the incline shaft, going up there to the right. Now we're back in the main haulage tunnel. And let's go check out some of those incline passageways that go down and see if there's a connection to that mine Paul and I were trying to dig out last year. Oh, by the way, I just noticed right here in front of me, blasting holes. So they did use dynamite in here. This wasn't dug by hand. Right there's 3 of them. The piece of metal you see there is called a muck plate. I didn't see that coming through here the first time. The miners would put that down on the tunnel floor when they were blasting, so all the rubble from the blast would fall onto the metal sheet, which made it a lot easier to shovel into an ore cart. So they call it a muck plate because the blasted debris was referred to as muck, and the miners whose job it was to remove the muck were called muckers. And we're heading back down the main haulage tunnel this way. So they did use dynamite in here. It wasn't dug by hand. So those scratch marks on the crumbly bands of rock are probably from a scaling bar. They use that to see if any of the rock is ready to fall off, basically, delaminate. Okay, here's the first one. That doesn't go anywhere, so I can't go down that one. Here's this incline passageway with the wooden door that is stuck in this position. I'm looking down there, and that's a dead end. I can see down there. It doesn't go anywhere. So let's check out the other ones that are near to the portal. Okay, this incline passageway looks like it stops down there. See that? So I'm not going to go down this one either, but look how they, on both sides, they put support timbering and then all this gobbing behind it. So I think this was just a big stope. And, and what they did was they put the waste rock in the stope and then fenced it off with these support beams. So we're kind of in like a big stope, I guess, that's punctuated every so often with one of these inclined passageways that probably allowed access. And then when they were done, they just put all the waste rock in areas of the stope that weren't working anymore. See that? It's pretty amazing. Yeah, this inclined passageway also is a dead end. I can see down there. It doesn't go anywhere. So these are all pretty much the same length, not very long, and they all go down at a 45-degree angle and basically stop. So there's the portal. That's a welcome sight. So unfortunately, this mine did not connect up with the other one that's on the other side of the hill. I thought maybe it might, but it didn't. It's kind of a cool picture there with the sunlight and the backfill and the blocked portal.